What is up, Pirates? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dennis, bringing you my updated deck profile for this guy right here, WhiteBeard, Strawbeard, Edward Newgate, Pops, Old Man, whatever you want to call him. I go with Big Edward. And Big Edward, to me, is someone that did not fall off the map despite losing his stage card. It was one of the best decks before, and it still remains. It only got better with set 3, and I'll show you why with this deck profile. But first, a moment for the first banned card ever. Moby. Yeah, you are too strong, and you won't be missed. Get out of here. Alright, onto the deck profile. Let's start off with the first 4 cards, which would be Ezo. This is the one that's brand new from set 3 that definitely gives this deck the biggest boost that it needed. It's a searcher card in the form of a character. And on play, you look at 5, you take any WhiteBeard card other than itself. So basically this gets you everything that you need from your deck. So definitely the most important card of your deck. If you're gonna mulligan, when you get to reshuffle in the beginning of the game, look for him over anything else. That's my honest opinion about it. Up next, I'm playing 3 of Otama. This is basically just a 2k counter. You're gonna rarely use this effect unless you're gonna try to kill something with Ace, or maybe with even what's it called, one of the Marcos that can now KO things. So we're putting 3. I think it's enough because I'm choosing not to use 4 because I'm playing a Sanji card, as I'll show you later. But there's also 3 Makino, and she's also the same reason for her. Majority of the time, it's just for the discard for a 2k counter, but now this one has an effect where in certain circumstances, you have this guy sitting on the field, he'll be there played, then the next turn you can play her, rest her, boost him all the way to 5 so you can attack those leaders with 5,000 power. So that's what that's for. It's just a new little combo you can do, but mostly it doesn't come up, but it's there for the situation when it arises. So the reason I'm not playing 4 Otama and 4 Makino is because I'm choosing to play 2 of Sanji, and Sanji to me is still pretty good. He is also a 2k counter, so technically it's the same as them in the form of the discarding to protect your cards and your leader. And you may add 1 card from the life to your hand. He gains 2,000 power, then he gets 2 rested Dawns. So he goes to 5, he goes to 7 for basically free, because as you all know, your leader has a disease effect where he takes a life every single turn, so you don't really care about taking your life, because put him at the end of the game, you're already losing your last life if you don't see Big Edward, the 9 drop. So that's why he comes up. If not, I'll give you a suggestion at the end for what you want to swap out, but I'll tell you right now, if you don't like Sanji, put a 4th Otama, put a 4th Makino. I'm a fan of variety. You know, it's still consistent because it's mostly used for discard fodder, but again, a variety because sometimes you just want to use something else because it comes up. The situation does come up for Sanji every once in a while. So up next, we have 4 of Diamond Jozu, another 2k to add to the 2k collection so that you can counter to protect your characters and your leader. And this guy is the one that has rush if you have a Dawn and you have 2 or less life. So what's really neat about him is that you can do this thing, which you've always been able to do, but it's you can play 2 of them at the end game, give them both a Dawn, rush, rush, attack, attack. Sometimes that's better, and then you can attack with your leader. Maybe you have some other big characters already on field, so that's another play you can do. So definitely 4 Joses are a must. Really good card. Awesome to discard them when you need to for those effects. Up next, I am choosing to play 4 of Marco. You're going to need 4 of Marco. This is the old one, the blocking one. And he's the one that on KO, you get to trash a card that's a WhiteBeard card to play him again from your trash rested. So now again, it's also if you only have 2 or less life cards, be sure that you have 2 or less life cards when you play this guy, because otherwise he will not be able to come back. I've seen so many people already do the mistake of playing this guy early on in the game, and then they're like, okay, block, die, oh, I get to discard this useless card in my hand. No, you don't. You have to have 2 life or less. A lot of people do forget that, so make sure you remember, and make sure you call it out on your opponents that are, you know, not doing the right way. So something for you to know. So 4 Marcos. Up next, another 4 Marcos. So that's 8 Marcos in total. But there's the new one, the different one, the 5 drop. This is the one that on play KOs a guy that is 3,000 power or less. So this is why we don't play Vista anymore. As you can see, we don't need him because we got Marco. And on KO, just like the other one, you could trash an event from your hand this time, so you could play him from your trash rested again. And he's just a little stronger, so it's pretty good. And this is just for events, but definitely certainly comes up as well. And he's the one who helps you push for game at the end because he keeps reviving himself. Sometimes you don't need to be defensive with your events, and you can discard them for him instead to push for game later. So definitely a great addition to the deck that came from set 3 as well. It's the Marcos. Up next, I'm choosing to play 4 of the vanilla Atmos. I'm playing a mix of Atmos, Speedjill, Atmos, Speedjill. They are the exact same card. If I don't know what's your preference, if you like the guy with multiple beards, or if you like the pig nose guy over here, Piggy. I'm just choosing to mix them up. Anyways, it's just 4 for 6 vanillas. They don't do anything, it's just a 1k counter. I like to discard them for the effect of my Marco to revive itself mostly. And yeah, they're there if you want to play against the mirror match. They're good because they have the 6k stat. So they're able to attack a WhiteBeard leader, which is pretty damn good. And next, something that I'm choosing to play that many people are not playing anymore is King Do. He is 5 for 7. Same deal, he's just vanilla with a 1k counter. Most people choose to play none of this for some reason and only want more of Tatch. I'm choosing to play 3 of Tatch, which is a 6 for 8. And the reason I have this mix, so like right here, I have the King Do, Atmos, and Tatch. They are basically a different variety, guys. Atmos is good against WhiteBeard. Tatch is good against WhiteBeard. King Do is good against every other leader besides WhiteBeard. So you're not only going to play against WhiteBeard. So for example, your leader is WhiteBeard. You have these 2 cards in hand, Tatch and King Do, which are your choices. You're playing against any other deck that has 5, K power, which is everybody else except for Edward. And you'd rather choose to play King Do because it is at the 7k stat line, so it's already 2k over. So that your opponent has to discard, a 2k or more, 2 cards at least, instead of this. You'd rather play this because then you get to save that Dawn, use it for Big Edward to attack for 7 as well. Against most leaders, there's no point in playing Tatch because both of them are safe from things like Jet Pistol, and you're just saving yourself a Dawn by playing King Do against the other decks like Law, Zoro, Katakuri, Rob Lucci, every other popular deck in the game. I just rather use King Do than Tatch. Tatch is good discard fodder for Marco again, but it's good against the mirror as well, so that's why there's 3 of those. So let's keep it moving. Next up, I'm deciding to play 2 of Ace. Ace is the only rusher, well, the other rusher in your deck besides Jozu. And he on play gives 2 guys minus 3,000. And then after that, he gets rushed. So he's good at killing characters as well. Him in addition with Otama is another good combo if you want to kill a big character like Big Mom, Big Kaido, Big Edward, any of those gigantic characters that are going to be a problem. You get rid of them with this and Otama combo. It's just something you can do. But I'm playing 2 of him because he's got no counters and he's often dead in your hands when you have more of Big Edward, because that is a bigger priority in my opinion. So just 2 of him because we have 4 of the Big Edward. This is now the best thing in your deck because the Moby stage card is banned and all you have is this guy to preserve your life. If you're on 1 last life, you play it because you want to make sure this guy isn't losing all the life already. And it gives him 2k power for 2 total turns, and he's the one that gets rid of little blockers when you give him 2 Dawn. So I'd rather play him much over Ace. Like if you have a hand of a variety of like this, I'm not saying this will be the exact hand, but if you have the choices of playing these or these, you mostly go to play multiple Edward Newgates than Aces. So I didn't want to clog my deck up with too many cards with no counters, because if you don't see Marco, there's no way to discard these cards and you're like just stuck with them in your hand and you'll be in a really bad spot. So 2 and 4 to me is a better ratio. Anyways, we're going to keep it moving. Now we're going to finally get to the event cards. These are basics where nothing much has changed. And it's going to be Radical Beams. This is one that always comes up to become 4k because you always have 2 life or less when you're using it. And of course, it's the best thing ever when you get to use Edward plus one of these. You've already boosted your guy up by 2k. Then you have this to boost it up by another 4k. So we're running out of little space here, but anyways, the next one I'm going to show you is I'm choosing to play 4 of Guard Point. Same exact thing as Radical Beam, but does 3k instead of 4. If I could play more Radical Beams, I would, but this is the next best thing that we got, so that's what I'm using. Another way to protect your leader and your characters from dying, so that's pretty nice. So that's mandatory because your leader is constantly dying. He only has 1 or no life, so you need to play your protective event cards in this deck. The last 3 cards I'm playing is WhiteBeard Pirates. I can see the argument for playing 4 because people think it's the best card ever because it can search anything you want, but to me that's why Izo is there for. And if you have a hand that is like half with a variety that has some kind of different cards you never really want to play this, it'd be like a waste of your own Dawn. To me, you'd rather just use a Dawn to stack on a character or a leader to attack for stronger. And this, what I love about this, honestly, is that I like to discard it for the new Marco's effect, because it's an event. You could discard it for the Marco to revive him. That to me is a much better use for this card. But if you want to squeeze in a fourth, I would say that you can cut out a Kingdu or an Atmos. That's one way you can go about it if you really feel a need for 4. I get then it increases consistency, and you shouldn't even think about the trigger because all your lives are being taken by yourself for the most part, so you're not ever going to get a chance to trigger this. It's there, but yeah, this is going to be the full deck profile. I'm going to clear it up for you real quick. Okay, now I have the deck a lot more neater for you guys to look at, with the ratios clear as day, well, except for the shadow over Edward Newgate, but that's 4 of him, of course. And this is the way I thought I built it best, is what I've been using on a simulator and in person in tournaments, and it performs really well, honestly. And I like the variety that I have with it, that you're able to go for certain plays. Like if you want Kingdu instead of Tash, sometimes you want to go for a Sanji play, it's still useful. If not, it's still just a 2k discard for every other purpose, so protecting characters and leader. So other cards that I want to put for you guys, if you want to consider adding or switching out, some things to mention would be, obviously, if for some reason you don't like having different cards in your deck. I know some people are like that, but yeah, you can take out the Sanjis and put in Makino and Otama as a 4th if you don't like the Sanji idea. But to me, Sanji is just another option to use. It's just for that. So 2 cards to consider are those. And then another one is, this is a new card from set 3 that nobody's playing, but I'm thinking that it might be playable. It might be. It's the new 2k blocker. It has a counter as compared to the last one. So this is just a weenie blocker, and you might be thinking, oh, why play little blockers? They just always be killed all the time. But they're not completely free, KOs. Your opponent still has to deal with it, has to waste a certain resource just to get rid of it, except for, of course, a mirror match where you have the Marco that'll just destroy it for free. But in most other matchups, your opponent has to waste a resource on this guy for them to get through to you. So it's just another option to consider, because the deck does lack blockers. It's only Marco, the 4-drop. So just another way to go. If I was to put him, I'd honestly take out one of my 4-drop vanillas and 1 Kingdu. That's where I would move them. And a couple other ones are Seaquake. It's the card that is very bad against the WhiteBeard mirror match. And it's just something that KOs something that has a cost that has 3,000 power or less. And it's pretty good bang for your buck, because it only costs 1 to KO something of 3k or less, which is pretty good against all the decks like Law, like Zoro, like I believe Katakuri plays a little Sanji and stuff. So it is a pretty good card in those matchups, but terrible in the mirror. But then again, you can discard it for your new Marco's effect. So just another option. If you want to put this in for one of the other events, it's another option. And last card is Red Hawk. This card I might change out right away. I'm thinking it's really cool. It's the surprise factor, because your opponent might be knowing your deck and be like, oh, I saw this deck online and everybody plays the same thing. They don't have this card. This is a surprise factor. You have 2 open Dawn. They're like, okay, they have 2 guard points or radical beams. No, you can have this to knock out a guy that has 4,000 power or less, in addition to protecting your leader or character. So it's a nice little surprise. If I was to, I'm probably going to switch it out for maybe one of my guard points. And I think that'll be really good for the deck too, because against rushing decks like Zoro, sometimes WhiteBeard lags behind and they struggle. As a WhiteBeard player, you struggle to keep up because all you play is usually big bodies. So sometimes you do need something that can kill things by effect, and Red Hawk is one of the best for that. So those are all the cards I would suggest. And this is now the full deck profile. And I'd like for you to let me know what you guys think, what you guys would add in, what you swap out. Definitely like, comment, and subscribe for more. We're going to be doing a lot more deck profiles, especially for all the new stuff in set 3 that's going to be coming out next. And thank you for watching. I hope you have a good day. If not, I hope tomorrow's a better day. All right, peace.